Greetings, all. Welcome to Context Matters. The date is Thursday, the 27th of June, June 27, 2024. And we are going to talk about, it's a social media thing. It's almost like we're going to talk about fake news. And in the process of talking about fake news, is it really much ado about anything? Yeah. So it's like social media gossip, right? And we're going to talk about tracking the truth versus the lies. What does it mean to be fake news, and how does it affect freedom of expression? And more than anything, just a discussion as to whether or not, as a society, as citizens of the world, if we are able, somebody said, what sweetness. Anyway, if whether or not, as citizens of the world, human beings, if at some point we have become so connected to our devices that we can't separate reality from fiction, nor can we regulate ourselves as critical thinkers to absorb information just for its entertainment purposes. I'm going to take my time to go through so we can have a good understanding or an appreciation from it. So, as I said, social media gossip, I promise you, much ado about nothing. By the way, that's a book. If you're into literature, it might be one of them that you might want to read. There are some poems that have come out of Much Ado About Nothing that I find very interesting, and I would recommend it as a good read for anybody who likes to read. But just to set the stage, I before I start, here's what I want to do. I want to big up Selector Princess, everybody who is on Reggae Global Radio, which is we are broadcasting live from there, as well as TikTok. Big up on yourself, and of course the the Isaac Buchanan 5419 YouTube channel. Big up to Andrea Hunt, Rowena Williams, Pamela Mitchell, Juliet. I wonder why you leave out your last name. The Real Gaza Uncle, big up yourself. Dorothy Mason,
Unknown caller.
Yvonne Johnston, blessings to you. All Patrice Hastings, Arlene Frome. I want to also say a special
Unknown caller.
Queen 2.0 by TikTok, as well as Babsy, no last name. On the out and bad today though. Big up yourself as well. Anybody that's watching the live. Here's the thing now. I'm getting a lot of calls. I'm gonna ask you to hold the calls if it has nothing to do with the program that I'm on right now. Just try not to call me, because then you're gonna wonder why I'm not answering your call or anything of that nature. No. Yeah, the starting point is this. In the context of fake news and reality, here's what I want you to know. What the world looks like if you overthink, and what the world looks like if you don't overthink. I won't say what is there, but the image is there. And this is a profound thing to think of, meditation, critically assess it. Here's why. The world is going to revolve around the sun, whether or not you believe something to be true or not, whether or not something is fake, whether or not something is real, whether or not you are alive or you are dead. One person who fails to critically think, not stopping the show. Vice versa. Everybody are critical thinkers, is not stopping the world from turning. And whether we choose to believe it or not, although we all matter in our individual right, the world is gonna continue with or without you. So how you make use of that time will be very, very important to what your contribution is to the world. And that's something that I want people to appreciate for the purpose of this discussion. We are going to ensure that we critically assess what's going on in social media in light of the fact that the government of Jamaica is taking steps or have said if it's real news or fake news, we will never know until these things happen, that they're taking steps to clamp down on fake news. Um, we will define what fake news is. We'll define what misinformation is, what the law is now, how to protect yourself about that, and just a usual conversation about the Constitution, freedom of expression, and where it falls in terms of statements being made about the ability to track persons and what does that do to the right to privacy, and whether or not in the context of freedom of expression, if it's demonstrably justifiable to breach your right to privacy, to say that, to curtail your freedom of expression. That's the basis of the conversation. So stay.
It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. No, I heard them say life much better you live it your own way.
All right. So here's the thing now. Let's set some boundaries or define some of the things. All right. So there's two things. I notice for me, I'm always doing the for and against, or comparing, contrasting, or distinguishing. So, because we're talking about social media gossip, when it comes to gossip, some of the things might be true, some of the things might be fake. Some of the things, in any event, true or false, it brings harm to persons and it may sometimes affect the lives of people. So, if you're back not broad, and you can't stand criticism, possibly you just shouldn't put yourself in a limelight or put yourself in a situation where you are going to um, be in a situation where you can't handle the truth, or if it's a lie, you don't use the legal mechanisms to counter the lie, such as defamation, where it is applicable, the Communications Act, where it is applicable, or any laws that's in place, especially when it comes to court proceedings, whether or not the judiciary can use the common law safety mechanisms to protect your rights, fair trial right, presumption of innocence, where those things are concerned. So that is the context. So let's start with two things: um, false information versus fake news. Now, what the experts have said, and I can tell you this: experts is, and I promise you, I'm not giving you any fake news, so I'm not likely to get in any trouble over this. But what experts have said, and it's always good to rely on experts, because you see, the laymen, um, the village people, it's not always fun to stay at the YMCA because they don't know what they're doing, and their moralities are probably a little bit skewed. And so when it don't work for them, do as I say, not as I do, or when you're put in a certain position and you can't manage criticism, you don't rely on experts. You just want things to go your way, and you'll breach the Constitution just to get it that way. So the experts recommend avoiding the term fake news. And here's why: you avoid it, or you at least limit its use, as the term fake news is closely associated with politics. And this association can unhelpfully narrow the focus of the issue. So the term false information is preferable, as it can refer to a diverse range of misinformation and disinformation, covering topics such as health, environmental, and economics across the world, corruption um, across all platforms and genres, while fake news is more narrowly understood as political news stories. So, if it is that, like in Jamaica, we have a failing health system because one, babies die because lack of working ventilation. So, if it is that Jamaica says we have 100 ventilators in the health system, that is true. The problem is the information, while that is true, doesn't mean that we have 100 working ventilators. So if somebody says the ventilators in the hospitals are not functioning and as a result babies die because there's no access to ventilators, the answer cannot be that we have 100 ventilators so the person is lying and scandaling the government. If the ventilators are not working, then it's pointless to say that you have a number, especially if they're not functioning, because the people need to know whether what you have is functioning. And if they're not functioning, then you have neglected your duty to provide for the people functioning ventilators. So, misinformation, mischaracterization is something that is very important. However, what is important is a response, and I'll tell you from the top of this discussion, a response to everything that's being said about fake news, false information, misinformation, gossip, lady whistle down, anonymous people. However, it affects, and situation ethics will always be important. The simple answer to this is a robust educational system using the same genres, platforms, and medias to bring light to proper information. So, funding must go to these areas to ensure that you reach the people if, in fact, you want to correct or fact check news. Also, where freedom of expression is, when one looks at harm, if it's not harming an individual, can you really complain if an organization is being harmed and they have the capacity to bring the correct news? And silence sometimes does mean consent. But so the simple answer is to use the same mediums that's pumping fake news to counteract the news. So, and everybody is happy because critical thinking is the actual key to solving all the issues. So if you're living in a society where education is lacking, where there's no system in place to teach even the common man basic critical thinking skills to make determinations from himself from what is entertainment and what is not. So there has to be a medium where people live in alternate universe. So they want to deal. That's what social media is about. Like people who don't actually work out and go to the gym can still use filters. Like I think I'm using a filter right now on TikTok and it make me look really good, but really true. I'm ugly you understand? But still, girls all over the world want to up me. You understand? Because that's the life of a city boy, yeah? You have to just appreciate that. So I might be using filter on YouTube as well. So when how I look nice on the internet and I saw me looking in real life. And people always say, me think you did tall, me never noticed. I saw you black. I saw your nose did big like the Prime Minister. Lord God, man, what kind of filter you use? You turn on the filter. So even then, we have an appreciation that fat people can look slim, ugly people can look good. Um, just like people in real life, they wear makeup, false hair, false eyelashes, wigs, they even eye colors, um, all the things that people use. Some people just use a whole mask, and even now there's technology that you can put on a whole new face to look different. So we know that there is some form of deception, and social media is just that because even people who are sad, depressed, unhappy, hopeless, broken on money, barely have the data to continue a conversation, can floss on the internet because it's not a real space. And so we have to take social media for what it is and balance that with the realities of mental illness in any society. So, can you really take on the task as government to regulate a space that we know is not necessarily a real space? Regardless of its influence, if you feel like it is an influential space, it is your duty to pretty much engage the space to bring some normalcy or put your agenda out in that space, but to condemn it and try to regulate it and with a view to criminalize or go in the business of making ordinary citizens, men and women, into criminals. Because there's a case called Sweet and Parsley where Lord Reed did say that we ought not to be in the business of making ordinary men and women into criminals. That was never the intent of the criminal law. And therefore, the people who are, if you want to say, putting out fake news, false information, they may very well be persons who don't even have the knowledge, but are simply trying to make up noise, make up viewership to ensure that they have enough commercials and to monetize the space that they are in, because in a high crime society where government has failed the people with job creations, ability to survive, the inability to reach the 600,000 that it requires to be a normal, to live like a human being in the world, on the world index, would simply mean that people must find ways to make income. And in the social media space, apart from being a clown or apart from going viral, and people go viral usually for the unassuming things, and we never know what is the appetite of the people who are behind the monitors and the devices. But people try every day to ensure that they become either popular or important enough to monetize and make money. So the space is there as a tool for people to make money, and it is entertainment in every form. So not because you don't have the Hollywood sign or the Bollywood sign or whatever it is that makes it known that this is either fictional or but entertainment at its best doesn't mean that it can't be categorized as entertainment. And if it is entertainment and it brings amusement, drama, excitement, and deals with all the emotions that human beings have embedded into their computer, it would simply mean that you can't readily say that what people are doing realistically in the real world can affect the business of what you're doing unless you're really not doing anything. Those are my submissions on that. So going back to the definition now, to the definitions per se, I want to say this. Hold on. So Rona says the government systems of Jamaica have failed the nation miserably. You sound like Muta Baruka. Rowena Williams, big up yourself. Anyway, so that's pretty much where I am. Somebody said we don't need Hollywood anymore. No, we don't. We, in fact, I think the person who is supposed to be making the legitimate claims these days are the movie theaters. Because for whatever reason, people are more entertained and glued to their phones than taking up their money to go to the movie theaters. I could be wrong, but I'm saying from a business aspect or a standpoint, entertainment is what social media is. And that's why it's called social media, because it's a space where people are social, get themselves entertained and interact. Socialization is like, a TGIF, a lounge, whatever, where you socialize with people with like minds, and you also get to argue with people, and you can be a keyboard gangster, and it's all good and dandy, and people stay alive behind their keyboards and people move on. So it's about regulating emotions, feelings, and they always say actions speak louder than words, and that is true. So if somebody is spreading lies about you, there is the medium for defamation and whatever law is in place. You don't have to create a law because you are dissatisfied that you're incapable. And the reality of it, one of the reasons why people are incapable to engage in social media is because technology is moving faster. So when you interact with your sons and daughters who are 2 and 3 and they can FaceTime you even before you learn how to FaceTime, and your nieces and nephews, and you information is given to you in real time and live. You see state media, which is a controlled entity for all political reasons. They sometimes, and I will explain more, can be biased. And like in the American space, people will say Fox News is Republican, but CNN is Democratic, which probably not true. And then I don't know where ABC falls or CBS, but there are people who it can be skewed, and there are triggers in terms of journalism, how people can say stuff. For instance, um, myself, when the media reports on me, if I have banter with a judge in court and she says, I'm going to school you, and I said, yes, my lady, school me, come on, learn. The headline doesn't reflect the banter, and them say, judge school the boy, I'm dunce, idiot lawyer that. And then all the village lawyers say, I'm dunce, him never win a case yet. I idiot boy that. I don't know I'm reach on them case there. Because of the narrative that is being pushed. You go to another media house and they say social banter between judge, the bar, and the bench. And as a result, law is being pushed and the jurisprudence expanded. And people is like, what am I talking about? But you see, if it's not clickbait, it doesn't work, because you have to understand that people have to sell papers. So let's deal with it in that context. So what is false information? I remember, I'm seeing the comments. I'm engaging as best as I can, and we will have the conversation, and you'll have your opportunity to call me. Somebody said there's a patting sound in the background. Maybe my mic is hot. The mic is hot. The mic is hot. Is that better? Is that better? No, there is no TikTok noise, so I don't know. Somebody said, can the government implement the law without the opposition agreeing to it? Well, the way how law is legislated, they can debate it, but somebody says no, so I don't know. The sound is still there. I don't know what sound that is, so I'm sorry about that. I don't know. Somebody said it's faster. Tell me what it sound like. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you want. Me want a minute on the wall. Anyway, yeah, you do get it. So what is false information? Let's start with that. Well, lots of things you read online, especially in your social media feeds, may appear to be true. Often it's not. So false information is news, stories, or hoaxes created to deliberately misinform or deceive readers. All right. Usually these stories are created to either influence people's views, push a political agenda, or cause confusion, and can often be a profitable business for online publishers. False information can deceive people, and it also can deceive them by looking like trusted websites or using similar names and web addresses to reputable news organizations. So according to Martina Chapman, media literacy expert, there are 3 elements to fake news: mistrust, misinformation, and manipulation. And that would sound like, right? So it's mistrust, misinformation, and manipulation. M. Right. So the rise of false information is not new, but it has become a hot topic since 2017. So traditionally, we got our news from trusted sources. Journalists and media outlets that are required to follow strict codes of practice in Jamaica, the Broadcasting Commission regulates these people. However, the internet has enabled a whole new way to publish, share, and consume information and news with very little regulation or editorial standards. So many people now get news from social media sites and networks, and often it can be difficult to tell whether stories are credible or not. Information overload and a general lack of understanding about how the internet works by people has also contributed to an increase in fake news or hoax stories. Social media sites can play a big part in increasing the reach of these types of stories. So the economics of social media favor gossip, hence the topic, social media gossip, novelty, speed, and shareability, right? And that quote is coming from Simeon Yates. Now, notice the information minister, she's new, so I really don't know her name, but she's a beautiful woman. I love the way she wears her hair because it appears to be natural and it has some color in it. And she's just bright, she's intelligent, and she's not a butu. So it's a beautiful thing because some of the politicians, them a little bit them strong. But anyway, sometimes strong and wrong. So she's a breath of fresh air. What she's saying is, you ought to get your media or your information from traditional media, especially when it comes to political thoughts and ideas. They have the JIS and the JIS was the bus thing, but it's now JUT. So JIS. There's another one. The one that boring. Keisha, you can help me with that? It's a boring one. Not JIS, another one. Anyway, can't remember right now. It's so boring I don't even watch it. And I don't get my information from there. But anyway, you do get it. Somebody's saying there's a top, and I don't know where the top coming from. So I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. And they said PBCJ. Lady James, big up yourself. That's like a boring thing. And no and JNN. Not to mix it up with JN that give us the Christmas greetings from England every Christmas, where they record in summer and they say greetings to my mum in Westmoreland and my aunt Patty and Bob Billy with the goat them. You still tying them up. I'm here in London and I want to say a special welcome to you. You know those people. So JNN, not JN the bank, but JNN. I'm apologizing for the sound that I'm hearing because I don't know where it's coming from. I'm not even sure if it's on my end, because somebody's saying it's coming from YouTube, and that might be something that I don't have any control over. And they said we can't concentrate because of the sound. So here's what I'm going to do. Tell me if the sound gone now. Yeah, it must gone now. Yeah, it sounds like a diesel Honda 50. A Honda 50, the people that want to try S90 skank for me in the place. It gone. I know it gone. Yeah, it's gone now. Good. See, fix that real quick. So the lady, somebody could help me. I promise next week I will tell you her name. I just know she's a beautiful lady. She's now the Minister of Information. She have really nice hair. Most of it is natural, and she speaks very eloquently. She is intelligent. I don't know her, so I have nothing bad to say about her. And she's like, but guys, we're coming for you. We're going to lock you up and we're going to throw away the keys because you're all annoying and y'all listening to fake news. So, yeah. so we love her. We love her. Anyway, them say it fixed. Them say it gone. So Zambos, don't tell me to restart now. Because I never reset right now. At next week context matter I gotta keep. Yeah. They said her name is Dora Explorer. So big up yourself, Dora, for being an intelligent lady. But I get your real name, because I know they're trolling me right now. They said her name is Dora the Explorer. Isn't that a little Mexican picnic that's a cartoon that run around with a monkey? No, they can't trick me. I ain't that old. Anyway, yeah, so she look at my brother trying to promote the fix here. It fix the fix. Anyway, yeah. So what is important then is she's right. Yeah, if you're incapable of differentiating what's a hoax, what's inaccurate information, then you try to stick to state media. The problem is state media. Do we know who have shares in what media house? Do we know if the wives and the husbands of particular members of parliament are connected to particular media houses, and how the editors skew information? Is it something that the people can trust anymore? And when it comes to governance, and when it comes to opposition, and when it comes to government, if it appears that state media is not JNN, JIS, and PBJC or something like that, wonder one starts to wonder if our traditional media, which TVJ is number one. It used to be JBC, and Faye Ellington used to be on there, and it was nice. And Doreen Samuels, and yeah, and profile and religious talk. Because if when you're growing up, if Ian Boyne don't interview you, not now going for you in a life. And then like religious talk or even profile, I would have said, Ian, so you tell me you used to live in a board house? You had a mattress? No, man, tell me. And you walked to school and there was no bridge, and then you swing and you still get 10 CXC subject? No, sir. Are that gone? So, Ian Boyd, may his soul rest in peace. So, TVJ have a buzz. Not had, have. Um, Now, Dennis Hall, let me tell you about Dennis Hall and why we're talking about traditional media, and it gone. So traditional media is so gone because of how technology is, and maybe society, the Jamaican society, is not evolving fast enough. But Dennis Hall now, he was around when TV used to sign off and sign on. So this man, my whole life, because I'm a young youth, I'm a little slow. Probably still slow now, because I'm treating like me slow. So I guess I'm slow. I don't know. But used to take like a short bus to school. I thought this Dennis Hall was a white man on the dollar. They him look just like the man on the dollar. But then again, Dennis Hall also looked like Wolf Blitzer. So it was just, I think he might look like the KFC man. But Dennis Hall had a distinct hand, a distinct voice. And he used to, when the TV used to sign on, y'all, if you never go to school, him would say, on Yalas, Channel 1, St. Andrew, Channel 7, St. Catherine, Channel 7. And him name out the 14 parishes them. So at least you used to learn something. So when you never go to school, you didn't know the 14 parishes. And then he would have said something about Cornwall, mix it up and stir it. Of course, you did learn about that. But then I never remember about that until them was doing the constitutional reform thing. And they said they went to the 3 counties, and I never know Jamaica had a county. Anyway, so we get the point. So there used to be traditional media, and I'm humbly submitting, while TVJ remains number one, and although there are other stations, well, there is CVM. CVM has been trying from, there was this nice lady. Was Elaine Coley on CVM? I don't know. But there's this one, there was used to be a pretty one, and she had short hair when Halle Berry did have the short hair, and Tony Braxton, and she did have it too, and she did look good. But anyway, when I get the point, I'm so all over the place, because traditional counties, yeah, I didn't know that we had counties. Well, I did forget, because we don't use it anymore. So to see them use it when they was doing the constitutional reform. Anyway, I'm all over the place. Um, Simon Crosskill is the British man on CVM. I'm not even on there now. Them have some other people, but there's a woman on CVM that she's like a real traditional media person. Her name Carolyn Brown. She have a nice media voice, like how Faye Ellington voice nice, because Faye Ellington is the voice of media, and Doreen Samuels too, but she's no longer with us. Anyway, and I might as well make me talk about Mutty Perkins. And I might as well me talk about all the old people that not around anymore. But anyway, the poor Elaine Coley Nicholson. You see it? Yeah, I think she's all a lawyer too, that name. Yeah, curling is CVM. But yeah, only get the point. So there used to be traditional media. No, there really isn't because everything just mix up in a one. And sometimes because everybody wants a breaking news, them all get the breaking news wrong. Um, last year, or I don't even know, them was like breaking news. Court dismisses cartel appeal. Lie, and then them just push it back. Breaking news. They'd like to say breaking news and the news wrong. And I want is probably inaccurate information. Is it false information? So what happens is this. A trend that you get or a trend that you understand is and why I'm attacking this thing about trying to criminalize or cracking down or tracking misinformation, fake news on the internet is for the simple fact that it is would be an exercise of selecting prosecution where naturally at all times is only one sector of society that is affected by it. Certainly in a political realm, the people who would be affected by a situation like this obviously would be persons who are not um, in favor of anything the government is doing. And so we can't differentiate between opinion, thoughts, and ideas, even if they're not realistic and even if they're not anything in tune with reality. So one wonders when somebody says we're coming for you because your criticism is not constructive. I mean, I was on media, traditional media one time, and I said some Jamaicans are, and I used the word, I said, some Jamaicans are worried and some of them ugly. And then people said, I said, all Jamaicans are ugly because you're not entitled to say that people are ugly, but beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Um, and so, not trying to justify or not saying that's a nice thing to say. Don't go around calling people ugly. Even when you see people and them ugly, don't tell them that they're ugly because you could hurt somebody's feelings. So let me make that straight. Context matters. But if you don't have a good command of the English language, you'll misinterpret what people say. And in especially in the advent of AI, like for instance, there are AI videos out there where Donald Trump is requesting me to be his attorney. Um, I'm not gonna go and sue Donald Trump for gassing me up, thinking he wants me as his attorney. We know it's fake, and we take we take the fun we take the fun out of it. There's news that says that let me behave myself, right? But we leave it alone. But we know that people feel. But put it this way: why I'm saying it's selective. Imagine somebody saying to you when it matters because they want your vote that in the first 100 days you don't have to sleep with your windows and your doors closed, or you can sleep with them open, or you don't need windows and doors. And then the 100 days comes and it doesn't happen. Was that fake news? Was it a lie? When somebody says that I am going to stop crime because the government can't do it, and then when they come into power, crime worse on any standard, did they lie and should they be prosecuted for making promises that they cannot keep? Because politics, when people play it, it is always seeped in empty promises a lot of times, because in reality, they will never, no politician will be able to complete all the things that they say they're going to do, because it takes, it's not really not a village, but it takes your friends. So when you do that and you lie, should you be prosecuted? And is it fake news when somebody says, there are 6 people in parliament that are being investigated for corruption? There are at least 6 people who are corrupt. And the mechanism to correct that is to set the record straight. For instance, one party, I'm not good with the names, but I think one party says, is it true that somebody on that side, and this is my question and why English language and literature and all of this is important, because the use language is important. The context matters when it is used. So somebody says, Is it true? Just look. Is it true that Dora wears natural hair? That's a question being posed. Even if the question is rhetorical, it's a question that's being posed. A simple answer to that is one, Dora can say, because you're a political representative, that's my private business, and you don't care about that. In fact, I think when the Minister of Health was in his market me kerfluffle, he says, that's my private business. Don't worry who I market me. Go worry about your life, or something like that. And people had to move on. And he deflected, and you just have to live with that. Or somebody says it's Dr. Dana says the PM didn't say he tracked anyone. Isn't that fake news? I don't know, because I don't listen to them. And that's a thing that people need to understand, because there's this assumption that people are listening to the fake news. Just like somebody's gonna say, no, you see it? That liar boy there contradict himself, because just last week him said Sharpay, anonymous, and this, and him a complain to the court. But context matters. In the court system, justice must be perceived to be done. And because the standard is reasonable doubt, unless you're bringing it into the court, the realm of the court, without creating laws to go track down people and assassinate them by giving them convictions so they can be grounded and criminalized and stigmatized, because that appears to be what the business of government has become. When real criminals are out there, because when you say to the country, I am annoyed by fake news, and we're gonna track you, because we tracked down a little boy who, when we track him, we find out, say, is the other side, and you didn't carry it to the court, and a judge never made that determination. So when you say you find out, that's still allegedly, and it's seeped in defamation as well. So you're guilty of the same thing that you're accusing people of doing. But what we need to make clear, what we need to understand, and I'm trying to be very respectful when I say this, is that you cannot or ought not to, in the reality that we are governed by a constitution. You can't just get up and make ways to breach the constitution because you're in power. So naturally, every time that you say something of importance, you get a little pushback. This pushback, and then yeah. I don't waste my time trying to figure out. Yeah. So what usually follows, or what usually flows, is that you don't get to they find themselves stigmatized. Somebody said, leader man cut off the live. No, say Starlink, I think it has something to do with the computer. But just get with me. Let somebody say they track me. I know lost, I know anonymous, and when me back up my talk, me do my talk, and when it come too strong and too hard and too heavy, and people can't manage it and them can't take it, them run the complain, and them just take out my money and pay my fine. And they say, make him lose him job, make him lose him work, make him go live pandit gully bank, cause him is a gully bank boy, and him should not be a part of society. You know, they do stuff like that. But so know that it comes from a place when, don't take it lightly, when the powers that be put themselves in a position to decide that they want to breach your constitutional rights, and then they're going to write or try to consult to write the law to say it's demonstrably justifiable to breach your rights in the name of protecting the governance, because governance is being affected by thoughts, ideas, political ideas, freedom of belief and conscience, and the ability to disseminate information. One has to be very careful about that, because not I am tracked, but not everybody can be tracked. And we know that because some people are anonymous because they have to be. They probably work in government, and you see how government is, they would lose their work. The irony is that you don't work in government, but they still want you to lose their work. So what people try to do in the social media space, remember that I tell you, is you get to monetize whatever you're doing on social media. And the thought of tracking you to have whatever you're doing, whether it's fake, whether it's real, whatever it is doing, to have you lose that is to get you to be economically unstable. So you have to depend on the very people that has set out to destroy you. That is borderline totalitarianism, authoritarianism, and it is foul. It is repugnant to democracy. And I need you to understand that. Donald Trump still became the president of the United States, and he had no problem saying you have to grab a vagina. Grabbing vaginas is a thing. Not only that, he accused his opponent of she's gonna go to prison. The irony is that he's now convicted, and he previously said, "Oh, if you have a conviction, you shouldn't be allowed to run." But no, the Constitution says otherwise, and we can appreciate that with evolution and authority and time, when you use your platform, it can sometimes be misleading. Somebody says, "What was that?" I'm just believe me, fact checked everything that I say, and if I'm wrong, call me out on it, because one has to remember. I don't know about anywhere else in the world. In Jamaica, the Constitution reigns supreme. So when I hear the creatures of the Constitution, so I'm not here calling nobody creature, or because I understand the English language, and when I say beast, I'm referring to your role as a creature of the Constitution, and you take offense to it because you have other meaning or understanding to it. I've discovered that the aptitude of people in certain spaces is that they, notwithstanding how much they achieve in education, English language is not something that is easy to command. And so because of that, I am now trying to, at best, put things into context so people can understand and appreciate. Yes, see somebody saying literature student. So when you go to school and you do your little maths, and you do your city guilds, and you do all of the conventional, and your literary brain, your ability to imagine things, because tracking and curtailing is destroying imagination. It takes a remarkable individual to just get up and make up things, to just take people picture and say breaking news, judge says so and so, or breaking news, government thief all of the money. And here's why them thief all of the money. You're not an economist. You don't have a degree in you don't even have no subject. And you just say what you just say what you want. You're not an authority for anything, but then people want to prosecute you for having an imagination, for being a great actor, for sharing your thoughts and ideas and all of the confusion and cloud that's in your head. And they want to regulate your mental illness where it is an outlet. So let me tell you. So there is a narrative, and one wonders because here's two things. Opposition says, hey, the light them a stadium dull. The government needs to do better because the government blind and all. Whoever responsible for it need to get them eyes checked because they like them all and dull. The government said, I'm rejecting that. I replace them with fluorescent lights and the light them good. You're a wicked opposition and you don't know because I myself sent out the money to make sure the light them bright. Shut up because I know everything. And everybody say, opposition wicked and show them want to come in at the place. Them just say anything. Opposition for Gwen. And then the organizations are foreign, I'm not going to call them the international people, so the lights at stadium are dull, wholly inadequate, and can't be used to keep a function of the magnitude to have athletes from international spaces participate. And everybody said, Lord God, they'll like them dull for true. So that is exactly the thing about rejecting criticism and also skewing whatever narrative is out there. So similarly, the diaspora, the dirty 30, I always hang out with them on a Saturday. Big up yourself, Mr. Wilfred Rattigan. You're in the news a whole lot. Like they love you. Like they are assassinating your character. And a lot of the persons who are doing it are a part and affiliated with the people who are complaining about the use of social media to put out fake news. But anyway, the dirty 30, the diaspora people say, Jamaica now run good. Crime is a problem. The healthcare system is a problem. And they say the dirty 30 trying to scandal our name and then putting out fake news and them is lying and wicked and they shouldn't come back to Jamaica. How dare them? And then the United States says, people of America, do not go to Jamaica. The health system is horrible and crime is high. We do not recommend you go there, and we are putting a advisory alert that health system is shabby. And then they say, you see it on the dirty 30 cause America for do that. Because they can't. They're not enough strength for the people that according to them is putting out fake news. So when the United States do it, it's not fake news, it's oh no. Why them look on the see what on the cause, gonna shed on a light on us. But I'm gonna tell you something in the Vice. They say Jamaica is the worst place to crime. The murder rate high. You can't live at Jamaica. If you're dead, you go dead. Don't go there. And everything that is bad. And yes, Jamaica is a high crime society. Yes, something is wrong mentally with a lot of the people who are committing crimes. And obviously, we know that to solve crime, we have to invest in education, probably free education, right up to tertiary education. We probably should send people to prison for not wanting to get an education. Maybe judges should say, when you commit a crime, you should be sentenced to completing a degree. Maybe that would be criminal. Can you imagine you want to go, as a big man, you want to go a road, go about your hand miggle and police sweep you up and carry you up a you and put you in a class with one cage pan in and you have to stay there, do your exam when exam time come. That would be hilarious. I can see lawyers saying it's a breach of my client's constitutional rights to force him to read. His freedom of movement is restricted and we want to take it to the Privy Council because how dare you force us to be educated in the white man system? Because you know it go. You always have to oppose. But anyway, notwithstanding all of that which I just said, here's the irony. Two things that took place recently. I think the guy's name is Scooter Briscoe or something like that. Scooter Briscoe. Here's a young man which a lot of fake news is coming out behind his story. But whatever it is, he's in Florida. He go kills his mama, kills his cousin, and kills his future baby mother. No, he was on Facebook in real time. He was like, man, they done violated me. And his cousin was like, yo, bro, cuz you can't, there's another way to do this. He says, another way? Son, I'm on my way to Atlanta to finish what I've started. And what do you think happened? Well, before when he reached at the border, Atlanta, the police in Florida contained the situation. Safe enough to say he was unalived and the threat is no longer in existence. What is left from that is a lot of fake news about whatever. Either he was suffering from mental illness. We don't know the real situation. We don't know the years of trauma. I'm not defending him, not protecting him, but I didn't know in Florida, people just get up like they live in a high crime society and just get access to guns and just murder people like we're in a movie. And while they're doing it, they're on social media and people is like, boy, go get yourself some Burger King and sit your ass down. You know, however they talk in America. And they did that. So that happened. And then you go more to get fake news in Atlanta after they treat Trump so bad down in Atlanta. The Democrats are horrible. What happened? Some probate judge who had about 50 cases against her from she won and was put on the bench. She is at a nightclub and some man beat up some woman at the nightclub and she's a good Samaritan Wonder Woman come out in her wig and she have her breast showing and she voluptuous beautiful black woman empress with her wig on. It wasn't put on properly. I'm gonna tell you why it wasn't put on properly because she was like, yo, 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 leave her alone, leave her alone. Undercover police was there and she deflect, protected the woman. I've seen the footage. She legitimately, my view, protected the woman. And it's called self-defense of another. And there are cases, certainly. Anyway, Gladfold Williams is a case of mistake, right? So you have the defense of mistake. So she didn't know it was a police officer, a woman in distress being beaten by some busted, broke down womanizer, misogynist in America, because this is what they do. See me putting out fake news. And she protected a sister, help a sister out. And she just happened to be a judge. And a filthy mouth one at that. Because she went off in the tapes and she tell that she was like, Ninja, please take your hands off me. What the German bumbleclot bear. And she just went on and on and on. And she used every profanity and she's a judge. Anyway, here's how the fake news come in. She has a separate matter where she's being removed by the judicial branch who regulates them, and they found her guilty of misconduct and she was removed from the bench for 28 cases that had nothing to do with the alleged assault of the police officer, which she will ultimately be found not guilty of because it was a ploy to make a Democrat judge look bad. I'm 100% sure of this, and she will be exonerated on that charges, even though somebody needs to tell our lawyer that they need to give him a proper haircut, he needs to get a proper suit, he needs to brush his teeth, and he just needs to look a particular way. You can't go in front of camera looking like Uncle Ruckus. It just don't work. But anyway, that's just my opinion. And the news puts out that she gets removed from the bench after how she behaved at a nightclub. And then the people was like, judges go to nightclub, and she has that position. How dare her being in the nightclub? How dare she socialize? And how dare her dance to secular music? Can you imagine if she came to Jamaica and was found at a nightclub dancing and winding up to turn it around and push it back in? My God, she would be removed from the bench immediately if they saw her in America, because apparently judges don't have social lives and neither do lawyers or prosecutors. And so you have to just be all erudite all the time and probably don't use the bathroom, not through the normal mechanisms. But anyway, that's the idea and concept of the false news. And so, lo and behold, this conversation must be really nice because I'm at the top of the hour. Is why I'm laughing? Somebody have to tell me what's going on with all this laughing thing, Going to too laughy. Young girl, you're too laughy. You're just a flashy round the whirly. You got one down there, one round there. Yeah. So that is pretty much the idea or concept so far. So we'll get into it and we'll do the judge is human to Rasta Jah. Yeah, that's it. But she when it comes to the case at bar, she is in the right. Whatever her other situations are, they are not to be conflated or have a cumulative effect in judging the conduct of the day. That's something that I think people would have missed when it came to that thing. But we are at the top of the hour, and I promise you, we'll finish what we're doing at the top of the break and deal with that accordingly.
Right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. No, I heard them say life much better you live it your own way.
No, I must tell you this because my favorite person right now in the whole wide world, especially when I'm talking about stuff in the internet. I just have to make it know.
Step in it, night have come. Look here, keep we are so step in it. Step in there.
I am just asking. This is a special request to what you said it, Dr. Dana, to use the tracking capabilities of the government just for my edification. If I could afford it, I'd pay for it. But I'd like to meet this lady one day because I know you can't track her, So maybe I'm trying to see if when you say when you can track people if it's fake news or you really can do it, Because one thing me know, she not make night catch her road for the track her down. Yeah, that's all me know.
Step in it, night have come. Look here, keep we are so step in it. Step in there.
Anyway, that for me is anybody know this lady, just let her know I really want to I want to interview her. That aside, I have nothing to do with social media gossip or anything like that. I just think that she is the light of the world. That's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. All right, so while this 2 minutes run off, um, I was telling you about this whole idea of perception in terms of what is fake news and what is real news, and why context is important, because you're gonna learn really fast, that that the context will always be it will always be an issue in terms of just basically how people will even try to understand or even try to put into context something that is either real or isn't real. That will make a determination of what is fake, what is real, and whether or not anybody need to even contemplate the effects of the particular thing. You understand? If it is that I am wrong, um, someone can always someone can always educate me on that, and that is just the reality, or what I'd say, the real, the the I hope I don't want to say the wrong thing, because I know people are watching. Somebody say, "Mama, tapping it." Yeah, but anyway, the so the that is pretty much how we look at it, or how we perceive the world as it is at any given time. Good. Now, let us consider the types of false information. So there are differing opinions when it comes to identifying types of false information. However, when it comes to evaluating content online, there are various types of false or misleading news we need to be aware of. So bear with me as I go through it. We might know it, or we might never have heard about it. The first thing is clickbait. Well, these are stories that are deliberately fabricated to gain more website visitors and increase advertising revenues for websites. Um, Clickbait stories use sensationalist headlines to grab attention and drive click throughs to the publisher website, normally at the expense of truth or accuracy. Um, if I want a million views right now, I just have to say something very salacious. Think of somebody, think of somebody you really love. I just have to put out information that somebody that you really love dead just a while ago, and everybody will be clicking on it just to see if it's true. Knowing, mind you, the clicking is all that is required. Somebody, Antonio Ward said, cartel free. Here's the reality of the situation, and everybody, all the traffic will come. And you have bloggers right now that has done that. They say cartel is in the hospital, cartel this, cartel that, and everybody goes and clicks, and then it's when they go, the story has nothing to do with it. And likewise, several information. They'll say lawyer is disbarred when he's not disbarred. They'll say lawyer is suspended when he's not suspended. They'll just do all kind of things to get the traffic coming in. Then there's what is known as propaganda. So stories that are created to deliberately mislead audiences, promote a biased point of view or particular political cause or agenda. So one definite propaganda is when somebody says to you that you can sleep with your doors and windows open in the first 100 days. One of the next things is I can fight crime, knowing that I can't. One of the one another thing that is propaganda is anything that you know is not true, but you say it anyway because no consequences flow from it. Somebody is telling me about Kenya. I don't know the difference between what's happening in Kenya and what's happening in Haiti, whether or not it's happening in Kenya and whether or not it's happening in Haiti. All I can tell you is without the accurate information, sometimes it's best to not even go down the rabbit hole because that internet can take you down the rabbit hole. Believe me when I say that. Now, here's the thing about it. This is a thing that one of the literary tools that I use that people don't understand, and it's called satire and parody. The changing in my voice and the mimicking of officials. When you either quote them or paraphrase them, all of those things is done with satire and parody. If you miss it, if you take it as factual, you might find yourself in trouble. So lots of websites and social media accounts publish fake news stories for entertainment and parody. So, for example, The Onion, Waterford, Whispers, The Daily Mash, etc. These are newspapers. It's almost like they what they used to call it, man. the Enquiry, the National Enquiry, or something like that. The news don't even have to be real. Like you see them say, Diddy and I don't know that guy name, but the artist, them say, oh, Diddy and this artist, and everybody's coming out and they're trying to put people's name to attach it to the social woes or the legal problems that Diddy is facing, and they bring people into it, and the news is fake. There's no way of authenticating it, but people use it. And provenance authentication is very important, especially in a space where people like to say, oh, my sources are private and anonymous. All right, so not to be confused with one of the things that I think in the Jamaican space a lot of people is guilty of, sloppy journalism. So sometimes reporters or journalists may publish a story with unreliable information or without checking all the facts, which can mislead audiences. For example, during the US elections, fashion retailer Urban Outfitters published an election day guide. The guide contained incorrect information telling voters that they needed a voter registration card. This is not required by any state in the US for voting. So that type of misinformation is sloppy journalism, but notice because it comes from that place, it's something to fact check. The consequences behind it, it may not give rise to something that can put somebody in the criminal sphere. So we have to be mindful of what we regulate. What about misleading headlines? I can tell you some of them that's very misleading. Judge throws out affidavit of son of dancehall artist. No such thing happened. You have to read the headline. Judge rejects evidence. No such thing. You have to read the actual article to know that that's not what happened. So stories that are not completely false can be distorted using misleading or sensationalist headlines. These types of news can spread quickly on social media sites where only headlines and small snippets of the full article are displayed on audience and news feeds. That's what traditional media gets away with, because after they have the nice flashy headline on the front of the newspaper, when you read the article, there's nothing to do with what the headline is. And having read it, you can't even say you have to republish it, because they say, yeah, but line 52 right at the bottom, we made it clear that the headline is not really what is happening, because in the conclusion, the real thing is there. So you have to look at that. What about bias and slanted news? I'm reading the comments, So Antonio says they make a statement, then put a question mark. I'm going to tell you guys a lot of the things that you can do. And Partner Draw TV, them really good at it. I wonder who is them lawyer and who is them lawyer friend that tell them these things, because all you have to do is say, I go a back road last night and a 36 of them did out there, allegedly. So once you put allegedly, it cures it. Because then ain't no fact behind it, because it's only allegations. So nothing with it. And I can tell you, all of the people them will go a back road, a BMW them drive, allegedly. Yep. You see where I'm coming from? Yeah. So many people are drawn to the news or stories that confirm their own beliefs or biases, and fake news can prey on these biases. So social media news feeds tend to display news and articles that they think we will like based on our personalized source searches. Guess what? There are things in the iPhone, things in the Samsung devices that you can turn off to not have websites track your appetite. So you best believe, like, sites like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, these social sites, and also Google, they track what you like. So you can, if you ever say, boy, the place hot, I feel like me need a new fan, let me call my brother Zambo Tafari Buchanan, which I always do, and say, the place hot. Think me need a new fan, can't run the AC cause JPS a kill me. And him say, yeah, what kind of fan? Me I say, me not even know what I go buy. Little more, me check it out. Hang up the phone. Me I scroll Instagram. Me say fans. 3 blade, 7 blade, 8 blade, 9 blade, 10 blade. And the fan, them sell you fan till you weak. All Uber Eats I tell you, it's fan sale. Buy 3 piece of KFC and get a fan free. Everything, everything. Somebody say. Anyway, I'm gonna pretend like I don't see that. Sharon Clark, fix yourself, fix yourself. Anyway, so they track you and they give you what is your appetite. So in a Jamaica, if you like green, everything green and everything mean is gonna come to you. If you like orange, everything orange are gonna come to you, including Donald Trump here. So you just have to have an appreciation that this space is already regulating and is pumping information to your pleasure. So if you just like the tons of people that dislike, I can use me for example, ISAT as the TikTok lawyer, the one who don't read and the one who don't, and the one who don't know anything, but notwithstanding, they just want to see a photo or a bad headline. And if you don't like the person and the headline is bad, you're going to click and you're going to share and you're going to do everything to your liking. So if you're fixated with blonde, blue eyes, Kim Kardashian boobs, derrieres, plastic, everything that is fake, it's gonna come your way. You might end up on websites like xx.com/porn, whatever, .com. I don't know them, so I can't call them out the right way, like pornhub.com, so on. So I don't really know them, but you get what I'm saying. If you what you like, it takes you down that road. And you have to be mindful of that. And so the bias and the slant is what will attract the things you like. For instance, there were people who were excited that I never get these things right because I'm like a political retard. The man that is like the man for the PNP, the doctor, Dayton Campbell. I don't know if he's a chairman or he's something in there. He's a big person in the PNP. And because they don't like him, some woman tell lie on him and him say, well, that's defamation. Because if they're telling lies on you, trust me, you can sue them. Just ask Rattigan. Anytime somebody tell lie on him, he instructs me and I sue them and they're in court. Because that's how defamation works. Once you establish it and you establish the harm, and if they don't have a defense, they're in problem. And they lie. And nobody had to track them down. They simply sue them and then they didn't have a defense and their defense was struck out and then he win his case. But the people, obviously, all the people on the other side of the political line, they like that news because it feeds the ad hominem. It feeds the ability to attack the integrity of the person on the other side, because that's what politics is about. So anybody that think that politics is a place where sophisticated, formal, opulent aristocrats are, you're wrong. It's dirty, it's nasty, it's disgusting, it's unbecoming. It's not fit for human consumption. It's filled with lies and scandal and incest and fornication and provocation and corruption. It is so. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm using this for you to understand. And again, this is not fake news. This is my opinion, thoughts, ideas consistent with Section 13. Let me tell you. Because I know there are people who are paid to monitor my speech so they can try get a 500,000 out of me. Not gonna happen. Hungry belly people are dead for hunger before them get that from me. Yes. So it's the right to freedom of thought, conscience, belief, and observance of political doctrines. And that is crouched in the right to freedom of expression, expressing the freedom of thought, conscience, belief, and observance of political doctrines. So nobody can fault me for saying this is what I believe and this is what I perceive in a particular space at any given time. No. The question to put, and I'm going to frame it as what was said. Here it is. If men were angels, no government would be necessary if angels were to govern men. Neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary. If your politicians were necessary, you wouldn't need the Integrity Commission and we wouldn't have corruption. So in framing government, which is to be administered by men over men, and the men over men means women, right? Men and women, then the great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, oblige it to control itself. Now, James Madison, who was a Federalist, gave this well-known quote. So he points towards the age-old problem of reconciling democracy and political power. So there is a problem that naturally you would have to discuss in reference to some policy or events, and then you cite the references. So a friend of mine used in Africa Mugabe, the president Mugabe, may his soul rest in peace. We can use Jamaica, but we also can use America. We can use many other countries. I don't like to be very political, but you can use the age of Fidel Castro at the time, where years later this man has proven to be a genius because the entire Cuba is educated and was the only place in the world that was capable of fighting COVID in the region, and from an English-speaking Caribbean, they went out into the world to help and assist with their version of what they consider to be the vaccine that nobody has complained is harmful. So education is an idea and the thing. We at one point we were the model for Singapore. So we must ask ourselves who was in government at the time, and who were these noblemen, and do they exist now? Because I can tell you they don't. I can tell you they don't. But no country that has a vision to get to first world status can do so with corruption so rampant. I don't have to call, and say anybody is corrupt, because the evidence is there, whether you want to call it fake news or whatever news, is that there is corruption that is rampant. The Ministry of Education, the place that is required to ensure that people become educated, consistent with the constitutional right to primary education, rape and looted. And nobody has paid the price for it, and taxpayers is still paying the people who are supposedly responsible for it. I don't have to call names. Petrojam. I don't have to call names. Billions of dollars unaccounted for in various ministries. I don't have to call names. The answer is ad hominem. Them did do it. And we never say nothing when them a thief. So when we are thief, no come chat to we. Because we are thief with integrity. And we not sign nothing. Because we're not afraid of no commission. And when you table, you snitch report them that due this week. When I publish that, but you get the point. And so the idea that the people who put themselves up for representation must be regulated, they don't get to say that They don't get to speak about the privacy of their lives. The same intrusion that took place when they said the leader of opposition was supposed to disclose in citizenship, even though it's not in breach of the Constitution. Then you're not supposed to feel no way if somebody's saying that you're having relationships outside of your marriage, or that somebody is doing this and who is not doing that, and whatever. This is just like sand through the hourglass. So are the days of our lives. And yeah, when all else fails, just simply say, it wasn't me. Shaggy told them, before him stop keeping Shaggy and friends because them try accuse him of money that him never thief. Yeah. But just say it wasn't you, even if you're strong and wrong. But the response is what is of importance. So I put to you, I can read it one more time. If men were angels, no government would be necessary. If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary. So in framing government, which is to be administered by men over men, men and women over men and women, the great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, oblige it to control itself. Self-control doesn't mean self-help to taxpayers' money. Self-control of governance doesn't mean the ability to abuse the processes of law to change laws to fester your personal agenda. Because long after you are gone, remember I showed you the picture with the two worlds, the world will exist. And time will be unkind to those who are unkind to the people. Our national heroes were plagued with ad hominem in their time. So was Jesus. And look what has happened. History has certainly vindicated them. So you cannot use an authoritarian mentality, a robust communist type mentality to bully the people because they are complaining, whether constructively, duncely, back of the classedly, misguidedly, indicating that they want the concept of justice as they understand it. So misinformation in the social media realm is a cry for help. It opens and starts a discussion, and a responsible government should have the means by which to educate the people robustly to count it as satire, false news, entertainment, salacious gossip, pink wall drama, dream, hide my identity. But my buck a gal, you see, I'm used to pay her school fee, and every time I go on to work, the neighbor we living in the house say, all me here and me want some help for move because all me here is tappy tappy. I'm going to just tell the people them and then whatever. Yeah, you can't fault people for that, but you get the idea. Now, back to the other things. Number 7, imposter content. Well, when genuine sources are impersonated with false made-up sources, this is dangerous as it relates to information with no factual basis being presented in the style of a credible news source or article to make it look like a legitimate source. So there are people who will take your content or mimic your content. A reputable media house like CVM, somebody will post and call themselves CVN, or somebody like TVJ, they'll use JVJ, and then they make the setup, and then they try to put the news out, and probably your eye bad because you suffer from the stadium light where they dull and your glass is not good, and you just mix up, you just make assumptions by the way the delivery, and that is imposter content. And there's a way to deal with that. identify the source, and make public that the imposter is being a gadfly. That's it. What about manipulated content? Well, last year, in full context, on a full how much hour show, somebody take 1 minute and accuse me of saying a particular thing. It was after statements were put out on press release and everybody wanted my head. They said, "Oh well, he never said it, but he quoted it, and that's enough for us because you shouldn't quote it or whatever." So when a real information or imagery is manipulated to deceive, as with a doctor photo or video, this can be used to mislead people or create a false narrative about something or someone. And without the proper context, that's why we have this show now, without understanding the full context, which is more than just a salacious clickbait and a short snippet of all that's being said today. Yeah? Without understanding it, then you will simply run with the narrative. And then Chinese telephone take over. Because imagine, look how me say Dora, on a session name Dora, me say the woman look nice. I love and appreciate her natural hair. I like how she put a little blonde in it. I like how it come across her face. I like how you know, it just nice. And I like the articulation and all of that. But if the people if the mix up people, them are gonna go and say me up on Mike show, I call her Dora Explorer, and I say she run around with monkey and all of that, then that's salacious and it's manipulated content which takes everything that's being said out of context. And people like to do that, and those who don't like you will push that narrative. And they have enough people, and it's a form of social bullying. And what you can't do, what you do is you forfeit your right to complain, especially when your cabinet, respectfully, Mr. Prime Minister, is on social media and every single thing they tweet and text and post. And oftentimes the things that they said is colored in their biases and it comes across the wrong way. So this is about it's about fake news because of political perspective. Because what's fake to you is real to me, you know. Like, oh, get up people broke, no we can't get no work. Na 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 na. So to anybody who is hungry and broke and don't have no money and prosperity is not reaching them, there's nothing that your finance minister can say that is not fake news to them. Because when you say the economy is booming, I may beg, almost fake news and it's must lie. How to communicate with people who are suffering is an art form. And it cannot be regulated by making ordinary, suffering human beings and citizens into criminals because you think something is distasteful. That is something that we have to understand. And manipulated content is what may be causing persons to say something is fake because nobody sit down and watch the content in its full context. Because I can tell you, but I don't want nobody to say I call the person name every week. But when you listen to the fulsomeness of somebody's content and you don't take it out of context, I'm telling you, you may very well find that the educational value of it is something that is needed in the social space. Because it's not like people can get up and decide that they're going to walk into the University of the West Indies because the rest of them, respectfully, I can tell you, I don't consider them to be any reputable university institution. People will be vexed with me. But I'm a UE baby. I'm UEcated and I take pride in that because that's just me. Now, It's not everybody can walk up at you and say, let me go in because the student loan expensive. Me see a woman just the other day said, Lord God, she thanks student loan bureau for no make sure for pay because she signed as a guarantee and the person dead and never pay back the money. And she's so happy when she should not even be put through that, because education shouldn't be expensive and the government should find money, just like how them find money for track down people where them say I put out fake news. You should find money to educate people, and then nobody would have to cuss Damian Crawford for saying that you must raise the GCT because we want to educate people. And maybe there's nothing wrong with raising the GCT. Listen, I'm not a political juggernaut, but I'm just saying, giving my opinion. Except that we know that when you raise it and it make the money for the education, you're not going to spend it on education because you want the people to be uneducated. You want them to not have aptitude. You want them not to hone in and better their critical thinking skills. Because even then, most of them will know that you're talking hot air when you're crying about fake news. Because this fake news makes you who you are and put you where you are. When you understood it before everybody catch up to social media and before TikTok. But you're not the only government complaining about it, because the United States tried to ban TikTok because very independent over there. Because when you say Tops and Roses, top up the screen and share the live. Likes my people, send me 3 lion and a teddy bear because I want to buy a TV later. And it just like that, voila. And you can't do nothing about it. This is a real thing. So what about the false information? Well, as a business model, the internet and social media have made it very easy for anyone to publish content on a website, blog, or social media profile and potentially reach large audiences. So your personality can cause you to reach large audiences. So with so many people now getting news from social media sites, many content creators, publishers have used this to their advantage. So naturally, false information can be profitable to businesses, generating large sums of advertising revenue for publishers who create and publish stories that go viral. The more clicks a story gets, the more money online publishers make through advertising revenue. And for many publishers, social media is an ideal platform to share content and drive website traffic. False information from social media and the filter bubble. In a recent article on media literacy, Hugh Lennon noted that media is no longer passively consumed. It's created, shared, liked, commented on, attacked, and defended in all sorts of different ways by hundreds of millions of people. And the algorithms used by the most powerful tech companies, i.e., and I said it earlier, Google and Facebook in particular, are brilliantly designed to personalize and tailor these services to each user profile. So the content you get, input in, garbage out, is based on what you like to hear already anyway. So when we go online or log into a social network, we are generally presented with news articles and contents based on our own search online. I'm telling you. So for me, when I browse, I just pretty, because I don't like ugly. So Facebook know that. So I only engage with the beautiful. So when I see people talking about so and so, I say that's happening on Facebook, I would know. Because I'm not exposed to I'm only exposed to the bold and the beautiful, not the ugly and the passa and the things them down there. So I have no knowledge of anything that the Prime Minister is complaining about. Because it will never come in my feed. Because you see, I'm real. Even if J-Lo didn't sing that song by herself and it was the Natasha girl who did it, I'm real. Oh, that was Jenny from the block. But when you get the point. So fake won't come my way. So what can we do about false information? That's what we need to know before I know the time running out because this topic nice. But what can we do about it? Well, Google and Facebook have announced new measures to tackle fake news with the introduction of reporting and flagging tools. So you see that? The government do not need to criminalize anybody because they can report it and flag it if they can substantiate the claim that what they're saying is fake. So when somebody say, hey, your statutory declaration there, you know, do your statutory declaration, you can either give us a statutory declaration or show that you are not the reason why your declarations are certified. But I see an article today from the Integrity Commission, and one of the representatives says, all you have to do is just disclose it. We are gagged, so we can't help you. All we know from our end is that it's not certified, and we can't say why because we're gagged. So if you don't like that conversation, you simply have to put out or do what the lady from St. Thomas did when they say she have green card. She said, "Una liar and una fool and una ballad sympathizers. Me is a Jamaican born and raised, and my father is a politician, my brother is a politician, and me own the whole of St. Thomas. Get away." And I've advised my lawyers to tell them to know what they're doing, even if it's not defamation, and even if you guys pose questions. I'm big, I'm a bad, and I take rags sometime and I push it up on the constituents when they ask for things from me. So anyway, so the media organizations like the BBC and Channel 4 have also established fact-checking sites. While these are welcome developments, digital media literacy and developing skills to critically evaluate information are essential skills for anyone navigating the internet, and especially for young people. So the vast amount of information available online and rise in fake news highlights the need for critical thinking. You hear that? That's what this whole show is about, enhancing your critical thinking skills. Children need to develop critical thinking from an early age. This is a key skill for young people to develop as they enter into third level education and prepare themselves to the workplace. Right? So work with me now. And I want you to have a good understanding of this, because critical thinking is the whole basis of context matters. Only a critical thinker can assess what is being said, because we understand that if we are to give effect to freedom of expression, people can say anything what they want. So you can say anything about me, because how I make it affect me, it is my power. And how I diffuse information, whether it's true or false, is my power. And government, which is a bigger entity, it's not an individual. So where an individual can feel like their reputation is damaged, government don't get the right to say you're damaging my reputation. That's complete utter nonsense, and it defies logic. It is a total fallacy. And criticism, whether constructive or not, should have no bearing on any government, because actions speak louder than words. And you have the platform to fact check and to prove. You also have the somebody said PBJC, JNN, JIS, nationwide is on your side. You also have TVJ, CVM, Gleaner, you have Observer, you have Star, you have Pink Wall, you have Dream, you have Make We Talk, you have Reason with Rattigan, you have Partner Draw TV. Because if it not dep on Partner Draw TV, I'll be here like you tell. Yeah. So anybody that's fact checking, today over on Partner Draw TV, is it really facts? Is it really news? PDTV. Yeah, I said it. So because of that, what is being said is that because we can't regulate and control and put out a narrative that is politically disadvantageous to our opposition or anybody who oppose the government, whether a part of the opposition, we have a problem and we need to criminalize and regulate and spend state resources rather than educating. We want to regulate. But I put to you that you must educate in order to regulate. So here's some education tips. Free. Because we know if one is like me, we just love freeness. How to spot false information. Because anyone can fall for false information online. There are a number of things that you can watch for. Who is sharing the story? So naturally, if you go on a PNP blogging site, obviously them sharing stories that work for them. So if the labor rights buck up on it and running, obviously it's going to be information that feed the appetite of that people. So you can't complain that. So if you check the social media account sharing the post and it is verified, then yeah, notice when you look in the comment section, everybody that ever cost me, them have zero picture, zero post, and me know so the bots make it up just the day to put out the same narrative. Most public figures and media outlets display a blue badge or check mark, which means the account has been authenticated. This can mean the content of the post is more likely to be reliable, although not always. But at least if it is verified, then you don't have to track them. No, so? All right. Take a closer look. Check the source of the story. Do you recognize the website? Is it a credible, reliable source? If you are unfamiliar with the site, then guess what you do? Look about a section or find out more information about the author or go to PDTV to get the real bangarang. Look beyond the headline or tune in to beyond the headline on Jackson Miller and check the entire article. Many fake news stories use sensationalist or shocking headlines to grab attention. Often the headlines of fake news stories are in all caps and use exclamation points. And what them love use is breaking news. Because I want to know if when them say breaking news, it mean them get it piece. Because it can't be them telling you something for the first time. All 20 weeks later, them are break news from things that happened 300 years ago. Breaking news, Jesus died on the cross and two thieves were beside him. And he said, forgive a thief, but not a liar. News breaking. All right. So check the facts. Stories with false information often contain incorrect dates or altered timelines. It is also a good idea to check when the article was published. Is it current or an old news story? So there was something in the news that had to do with one politician side take apparently a politician or a member of parliament or whatever, something like that, or foul mouth like the judge, cursing a whole heap of bad word and whatever. So that did happen. That's a fact. That politician has a filthy mouth. And it was published for the whole world to know that the mouth is dirty and filthy, to borrow from the words of the dentist politician, go brush your teeth. It's foul. That one now is an old thing. And somebody has redone it and edit it up and make it look like the thing was new. The thing about it is, it was said it was factual, but kind of not really cool to rehash old things to make it look like it was recent because people change. Sometimes you can be a skettle and then you find your ways and then you find yourself in the church. But so then sometimes the church don't work out and you say, you know what? If me left the church, at the church fall, come and warm up my crown and be the dancehall queen. And then somebody say, I go and mind my business. Anyway, so you know what I'm talking about. So sometimes you can change and then you backslide and come again. Because some do people change, the more things change, the more it remains the same. We don't know. But anyway, the last of what I'm saying is the thing about it is you have to fact check. If it's old, it's probably you probably have to look if persons were sanctioned and if they weren't sanctioned, or if they paid the price, if they apologize, then why bring it up back? Why to rehash old wounds? And you have to give people credit that they mature. What somebody did last year, they may not do it next year. Somebody might beat a woman with a chair and not will be like, I learned my ways. I'm not gonna beat my spouse with a chair next year. And so yeah, so people change. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt. So you have to check for biases? Are your own views or beliefs affecting your judgment of a news feature or report? So sometimes it clear as day, i.e., there are 6 corrupt persons being investigated in Parliament, according to the Integrity Commission. Now, if you're one of them, you might say, why are they talking about it? It just sounds so biased. The boy that PNP. And look, I'm gonna make sure I wear my green. My green, all my like them green. I like them green. So if me I say it, oh, you call me PNP, me just a state of fact. Me no know. Me just a wait. Them not say this week or tomorrow at a table. Me no know. Them up to the end of June. So next week, Monday or Tuesday. Me no know. But me just a say. And also, you have to check, is it a joke? Satirical sites are popular online, and sometimes it's not always clear whether a story is just a joke or a parody. So you check the website. Is it known for satire or creating funny stories? For like true story, I was in Atlanta, went to a club. There was this hot judge in the club, and she had on a nice wig. She had nice eyes, and she's a probate judge. I don't practice law in Atlanta, so it doesn't really matter that she's a judge because I didn't know she was a judge at the time. So I was standing outside and stuff, I was like trying to holler at Ma, and same time another girl and she had, she was there, and I don't know, she get in flight with some dude, and he was punching her in the face. And the girl was like, you ain't gonna do nothing. I said, no, because I can't afford to get in trouble. I don't want to be deported. You know what I'm saying? Again, I don't want that to happen. So she's like, you soft. You supposed to be a real man. You a weak jellyback man. Man is supposed to stand up like a man, and you ain't doing that, so I'm going to do it myself because I'm a judge. And she was like, yo, get your hands off her. She ain't, I didn't even know the police was on the cover. And she was like, back up. And then they just restrain her. Our wig fall off. I was like, damn. I'm sure it was our real hair, and she have her head in one stocking, and all of us, so she look like A. Marie. And she'd be like, Nico, you mash up my life. This is a true story, And then after that, them say, open the truck back. And I was like, damn, I'm still in Jamaica, because them put her in the back. And I was like, you can do that to a judge? Them say, yo, here in America, we don't care if you're a judge, you or anybody, get in the back of the truck. Yeah? Just like how them just get the man down in Honduras and them lock him up in America and sentence him to 45 years for using his state power to ship drugs. I was like, damn. Yeah, I swear to you, Buju wasn't there. So when all of those things happen now and I put her in the truck, she never tell anybody who she was. And then it turned out that they disbar her because she fight the policeman. But the policeman said he did punch her, but in the report, he was like, she boxed off him hands. So the inconsistent statements, and then she got Uncle Ruckus to represent her. True story. This happened. I was there in Atlanta last week or this week. And same time. So I was on my way to Atlanta when Scooter shoot him mother in a motel, then shoot him cousin and shoot the thing. I was on the way to Atlanta. So I was like right there on the highway when the police was like, bam, 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 bam. And make sure never get into Atlanta. ATL. Yeah. That's a true story. So y'all can fact check it. But we at 5:53. Any questions? This was interesting. The takeaway though, I can take one call, try your luck, whoever it is. I'll let you end the show with your thoughts and your comments. I'll also start the show next week and give you guys the opportunity. Means you gotta come back. And somebody said you're never there. They were. No, I wasn't here. I was in the ATL. So this is how it worked. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I went to Mexico. I crossed the border. I went on the thing and all of that. Trump wall wasn't built properly. And I got in. And then I was in Texas. This ain't Texas. Hold up. Lay your car down. And then I did whatever I did. And then I skate on the highway. And then I'm going to check my brother in Florida. And then that's when all of those things happened in ATL. Yeah. So... yeah, that's what happened. So anyway, that's that. Go fact check it. If y'all don't believe me, y'all ain't got to deal with it. It's just a little social media gossip. Much ado about nothing. I mean, it's the truth versus the lies. Check it and tell me. Or if you don't believe, write a letter to the Prime Minister, have him use his tracking abilities to see if anything I said was that. And if it wasn't true and it's not satire or is not put in context by the virtue of the topic, then just sue me for defamation and anything will come with it. But I'm saying I was there. I'm serious. I'm serious. Just ask Uncle Ruckus because we in the boondocks, baby. That's how we do. Anyway, that is that. So I think I have said what I need to say, but anytime government contemplates restricting a constitutional right when there are less restrictive measures, such as using the platform mechanisms like YouTube, you can complain if whatever is there is misinformation or it is defamatory or it's causing harm. And they will take your complaint and they will remove it. They will remove a video for copyright infringement. Remember, these spaces are monetized. Similarly, on TikTok, the same rule applies. When you're using the social space, it must be done so responsibly. You can't get away with a lot of things on Facebook. And there are filters. You can have them blocked, you can remove them. Same thing for Twitter, which is the ultimate tracing space. The most uncouth, uncivilized ghetto type of people are over there. But I'm calling it Twitter, but it's really X. So you must know I don't really use a platform, but um, it is what it is, and we must, as the good doctor who is the most polite and appears to be a very rational and intellectual female, Dr. Dora. I'm gonna learn her name. She may want to consider, as a woman of reason, to advise the space or take advice, legal advice, in terms of how to engage in robust education. Because the real complaint from the Prime Minister, as I understand it, is that there's illiteracy is so high in the Jamaican space that people will believe anything, including the fact that I was in Atlanta last week. So we just are ATL. But maybe if I was at ATL, it means that I'm not being faithful to Benz and was trying to buy a BMW or something like that. I don't know. So context really matters. Just appreciate that. And nobody called, but that's fine. I think I would have had the conversation about I don't think there's a danger. I don't think there's a risk. I think all publicity is good publicity unless the publicity goes into the realm of being poisonous and injurious to somebody who faces liberty. Political officials are not facing the losing liberty or life from Cascas and Bangarang and misinformation. Not when you have a whole ministry that's called the Information Ministry, who the former information minister is no longer the information minister because allegedly there was misinformation put out. I don't know. But if we're getting it right as a developing country, there's a little bit more responsibility that we have to put into it. And when we exercise that responsibility, then and only then, in an appreciation from what I said, I'm gonna leave it with you as I close the show. I'm gonna say it one more time. If men were angels, no government would be necessary. If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary. In framing government, which is to be able to administered by men over men, and I had updated that to women over women, men and women over men and women, then the great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, obliged to control itself. And that's a quote from James Madison. In a democracy, all that must be done within the framework of the Constitution. So you can't fornicate with the Constitution. You cannot rush without mature consideration the things that are necessary where the Constitution is concerned. So the great regulator is the Constitution. And if you are a creature of your Constitution and derive your power of the Constitution, one ought not to circumvent the power of the opposition, one not circumvent the power of the executive through the legislature or the judiciary. One must not try to conflate and be incestuous just to hold on to power. That is what the regulation is. And that is, I'm leaving you with context matter. Consider it, and we can have discussions about it. But there is no danger in the freedom of expression when thoughts and ideas and political doctrines are being put out as a marker of a cry for help. The existence of creativity and imagination must never be shrunken for the egos of men who do less and do not want to be criticized. Context matters. I see you guys next week, and we'll talk about whatever nonsense that comes up in the social space. And while we wait, take it easy. Yes. But if you're still on YouTube, that was the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Same thing. TikTok, thank you for joining. It's always a pleasure to interact with you guys. I really think that this topic is ripe for so much more discussion, and we'll carry it out as it progresses, because I suspect that there will be possible changes in the legislation that may warrant the going to finding ourselves in honestly finding ourselves in the court to find out whether or not rights are being infringed, breached.
It took some time to understand. Yeah. Just what it takes to be a man. Now it seems each day you learn something to make a better way. Growing up ain't just a phase, it's reality. And sometimes it's hard to face the world with your head screwed on. But in time you will see it comes naturally, like the hurt and the pain. It's a part of the game. It's all a part of life, to laugh and to cry. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it stride. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. Though I heard them say life much better you live it your own way. But if you need a helping hand, just call on me, I will be your friend. And when it gets hard to face the world with your head screwed on, just tell yourself you can. And that's when you'll understand that the hurt and the pain, it's a part of the game. It's all a part of life, to laugh and to cry. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time for living a lie. that's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. Just keep your head up, yeah. Just keep your head up, yeah. Gotta keep your head up, yeah. Cause everything's gonna be alright.
Keep your head up. Keep your head up. Keep your head up.
Cause everything's gonna be alright.
Cause everything's gonna be alright.